Nehemiah 11 to 13 and Psalm 126. Well, our reading here at the end of Nehemiah is all about the city of Jerusalem. After Nehemiah has done all the work to repair and rebuild the walls of this city, they noticed the city needed to be inhabited. Otherwise, we're going to go right back to the same problem they had before. So by means of lot, Nehemiah ordered or literally moved 1 out of every 10 of the returnees back to Israel to come and live within the city walls. And so that is the early part of chapter 11. And then we have a long list of people who occupied the land at various times between Zerubbabel and this time of Ezra Nehemiah. It does reemphasize, again, this is good for our story, how important the land, the literal land of Israel is, again, to the original promise of Abraham, as well as now we are at the end of the story to how the new creation will somehow bring in this idea of living in a land peaceably. That's always on the Jewish mind. Then we have a lavish dedication ceremony for the walls. Of course, the reason for a dedication ceremony is not for the rocks and the mortar. It's really because we have, again, the presumed presence of God coming down to live within the city in their minds. So that's why they're dedicating the walls in our story today. The conclusion then of the book is reminiscent of the sad end of Ezra. And I say sad because we're back to that picture of what seems to be racial purity. And not just purity in the sense of or loyalty to Yahweh, but racial purity when it comes to marriages. And so we have Nehemiah doing the same thing in chapter 13 at the end of his book that happened in Ezra. Here's 13:1 of Nehemiah. On that day they read from the book of Moses in the hearing of the people, and it was found written that no Ammonite or Moabite should ever come into the assembly of God. Now that would have been a quotation from Deuteronomy 23, verses 3 through 5, which even when we study Deuteronomy, we have to ask, well, how is that going to work when it comes to that famous woman, Ruth, who is a Moabite? So I'd recommend that, again, there we have Nehemiah being concerned for something that will later be less of a concern when we get to the New Testament, and that is intermarriage itself, let alone the question, or leave alone for now the question of is this couple or is either one of the couple a Yahweh loyalist. The concern for Nehemiah, and this is going to be, again, very fitting for how the intertestamental period will be, Nehemiah's concern was simply that of racial purity, and he will order these couples to divorce. And again, we presume that there was a lot of pain involved because children would always be involved in that situation as well. Well, we conclude with a fitting end to our story, Psalm 126. Let me pick it up in verse 3. The Lord, this is a psalm written after the return, and looking back upon this time now when people are again repopulating the city of Jerusalem. The Lord has done great things for us, and we are glad. Bring back our captivity, O Lord, as the streams in the south. Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. He who continually goes forth weeping, bearing seed for sowing, shall doubtless come again with rejoicing, bringing his sheaves with him.